going to tell my children.
Mwenye aliwa Chris, kama mimi napata mimi nakata na meno yangu.
On his forearm, there were 3 well-measured cuts, still bleeding.
The wound I have, I'll have it until I go to my grave.
Kenya, tusimame imara. Chris's death will not go in vain.
To your professional investigators, they'll follow or pursue all leads available and possible.
Nilala for 1 week. Nilikuwa nalala kwa simiti.
It was July 2017. Kenya was preparing for a crucial general election, a moment that would test the nation's democracy once again. Amid the tension, one man stood out, calm, intelligent, and his name was Chege Musando, the Deputy Director of ICT at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. In a television interview just before the elections, Musando appeared before cameras.
So we have put a lot of things in place to ensure that technology works for us on election day. But again, in case of failure, we have also put in place accountability mechanisms to resort to other modes of identification or results transmission for that matter.
He spoke with authority and assurance. He explained how the biometric voter identification and results transmission would ensure a free and fair election.
Let's make sure when we do this new technology, we are addressing the problem.
No one could manipulate the system, that every vote cast would be transmitted securely and transparently. And for the first time, many Kenyans felt that technology would protect their democracy.
Kulingana na sheria ambayo ilipitishwa mwaka huu 2017 na bunge, inasema kwamba nambari ya juu kabisa ambayo inaweza kuwa katika kituo ni watu 700.
His calm voice inspired confidence. His knowledge inspired trust. But for some, that confidence was a threat. Behind the scenes, dark forces were watching. In the days that followed, Musando began to receive threats. He mentioned them to colleagues and even to the police, promising to come home soon, but he never did.
About 10:30, I tried to call him. And he sent a message back and said he was in a meeting. But 15-20 minutes later, he called. And he was in a meeting, I believe, at his office, and told me he was downstairs at the restaurant having a drink, and then he would go home. And we talked. He told me he was to attend a burial of a colleague who had lost the father, but he wasn't sure if he would attend it or not. And we agreed on the usual responsibilities. Would say, since I'm not around, take care of the kids, buy breakfast and things like that, of which he agreed. And we told each other good night, and we left it at that. From whatever location he is, he would estimate. So if he said he was leaving and he said he was in the town center and it's about past midnight, there's no traffic jam. So it would take him 15 minutes to be in the house. But on that particular day, I wasn't there. So normally if you would take long, I would call and ask, what happened? You said you're on the way. I think I fell asleep because it was past midnight. So I fell asleep and I realized he hadn't called by morning. I tried to call him in the morning. His phone was off and I thought he was asleep. I tried to call the house help and my son picked up and asked me if I had left for the safari with their father, and I said no, I didn't, and he told me he hasn't come back. So I kept trying to call him to find out where he was because it was a bit unusual.
For 2 long days, his family searched. His phone went silent. His car could not be traced. Social media filled with fear and confusion.
I went to report to the station, which is near our house here at Embakasi, as a missing person. And the whole process of searching began.
We went to IEBC, to also inform them that Chris was missing. And then they decided to make a press release to that effect. And they were discouraging us not to talk to the press.
Then came the morning of July 31st, 2017. In a forest area of Magunga, police discovered 2 bodies.
Sunday came and passed, and Monday I was called and told I need to go to somewhere near Integrity House in a hurry. And we went there, and they say now we have to start looking in the mortuaries. So I asked them why, what's going on? And we went to City Mortuary. I asked if I could go in, they said no. My elder brother was there and he went in with a policeman. They took some time and my brother came out, and the look on his face when he looked at me, and I asked him, "Ni yeye?"
One was identified as Chris Chege Musando.
He said yes, and I told him, "Take me in, I want to see." And when I went in, I saw him cold and lifeless. I was in shock. I didn't expect to. Till now, it's still, the picture is there with his eyes shut on a metal, on a slab.
The scenes were horrifying. Signs of torture, unimaginable cruelty.
And the moment they unwrapped him, I noticed 3 deep cuts on his hand, on his forearm. There were 3 well-measured cuts, still bleeding. And I asked them to turn him and turn him again, because I couldn't believe that was the most visible thing I could see. And I asked myself, why? And who did this? Those were the only things I kept asking. Who did this and why? I didn't know what to think of it till now. And the only question was, what am I going to tell my children? Because as I left on Monday morning, I told them I'm still going to look for Daddy. And they said, you come back with him? I said, yes. Because I had to assure them I will come back with him. And I also knew I would come back with him. In my mind, I knew he is safe somewhere.
Kenya wept. A man who had dedicated his life to ensuring a transparent election had been silenced. News of his death broke across the nation. Anger and disbelief filled the air. How could this happen to a man who only wanted fair process for his country? How could a person who spoke truth so openly vanish and die in such a manner days before an election? The government promised a full investigation. The police collected statements, but with time, everything went quiet. The headlines moved on. To this day, no one has been held responsible for the killing of Chege Musando. No one has been charged. No one has been named. His family continues to live with unanswered questions and deep pain. His wife, Eva Buyu Musando, has carried the weight of his absence, still demanding justice that never came. Years later, Kenya still remember him, the man who stood before cameras and assured the country that technology would protect the truth. The man whose voice carried both intelligence and honesty. And the man whose silence now speaks louder than ever. The death of Chris Musando remains one of the Kenya's darkest unsolved stories. A painful reminder that in the fight for truth and justice, even the brightest lights can be extinguished. Yet, his legacy lives on in every Kenyan who still believes that one day truth will be silenced.